What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to another live stream of Hollercast. My name is Josh, and we're so glad you're here to join us today. We have an awesome guest, but before we get into anything, visit shophollercast.com and check out our merchandise. We have some awesome merch that you need to see. We have t-shirts. We have a little bit of everything. T-shirts, shorts, cups, mugs, you name it. That really helps us out here. It helps keep the lights on at Hollercast. But without further ado, Chase, you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, absolutely. What's going on? You okay?
Dude, I'm doing great. How are you?
We don't see nearly enough of each other.
I know.
I look forward to getting back into this thing
do too.
more.
Every week.
Yes.
Every week.
I know.
Twice a week.
Yep.
Every day for the rest of our lives.
Well, I don't know. But we may have to broaden our scope. We may have to broaden our scope just a little bit. But it's good to see you, dude. Seriously.
It's good to see you too, man.
I know. When we were doing this so much or whatever, I felt like we were seeing each other constantly all the time.
I know.
And then now, summer happens.
I kind of wanted to move you in, to be honest with you.
I know, dude. I was getting ready to move it. Hey, we've got an awesome guest with us today. I reached out to this guy earlier this week. To be quite honest with you, he's been recommended to me many times by many different people, and it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Matt Ward, the Mitchell County EDC Director. What's going on, man?
Welcome.
You, Chase.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Josh. You guys know how to make someone feel welcome.
Yeah.
Pull that mic
Scoot that mic up. You kind of got to eat them,
Okay.
brother, and you can take it back with you a little bit like this.
All right. I appreciate it, gentlemen. You two know how to make someone feel pretty welcome, and you got a cool house here.
Thanks, man.
Cool studio. Yeah.
Well, it's always fun to bring people into Josh's house because there's a lot to look at here. Yeah.
I like it.
So you already got the snake tour?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
He's going to maybe be a future job creator.
Yeah, with the Venom Lab.
Yeah. I think so, man. That's a good idea.
Oh, I got my FDA license to sell Venom.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh, see, this is why we need to hang out more.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is why we need to hang out more.
I'm licensed to sell Venom now, so I just need a lot of snakes.
Right.
And some real estate.
So what are we thinking on the name? Spruce Pine?
Well, I've already got the TikTok and everything is WNC Venom, so I figured the branding's already there. I'll just stick with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's cool.
I like
Venom's a good movie, too.
Yeah, it is.
know, right?
It is.
I got a T-shirt.
So I know a lot of people, some people were asking me online today what EDC meant. So it's the Economic Development Commission. So
That's right.
I know a lot of people might not know you're actually from here.
Oh, yeah. I grew up on Cane Creek, if anybody knows that part of the county. The mountain land I used to play on, that's now in the Conservancy. So that was Grandpa's old mountain land, which that's fine. No development. I guess going in above us, and our drinking water won't get damaged, but we're getting some bobcats and more deer.
There you go.
That happens when nature comes creeping in.
Is it bad that when you said bobcats, I automatically thought of a bobcat like skid steer riding around? That's where I thought you were going. I was like, wait a minute.
We got a lot of those around there, too.
That's the development bobcat, not the undeveloped.
Yeah, not the wild bobcat that just killed the neighbor's duck and some chickens.
So Matt, so I assume you got out. Did you graduate from Mitchell?
Yeah, 96.
Nice.
Went on down to Greensboro for undergrad. Thought I was unhappy and was like, well, let me go back to Asheville. So I was going to transfer up there, but did not. Ended up staying at Greensboro and got into geography, and then that's how I got into urban planning.
Oh, nice.
Then went to Salisbury and Concord after graduation. That was right during 9/11, like when we were all. I graduated in 2000. Yeah. Wow. So was sitting actually in my internship in downtown Greensboro when all that happened. So
really?
I remember that. And friends that had already moved up to New York, one of them said they saw the plane fly by. They were already in their high-rise building for work that morning, and had to leave the building, walk all the way up to like Queens, cross over into Queens and walk back down because they lived in Brooklyn, and said their apartment was covered in smut and stuff because of the smoke coming over from. So, and been up there many times. It was wild, and I'd fly up there afterwards. It was still smoldering.
That's crazy.
Wild. But that was the undergrad, and then in the professional job, and then worked, I guess, as a planner for about 5 years. And I'm like, I didn't get a degree in this urban planning. So I guess maybe I should go to Virginia and go get to graduate school. So that's how I ended up there.
So what was your first job right out of college?
Salisbury, Rowan County. I was working down there.
And for what was that? Was that
just
EDC?
planning? No planning.
No.
I was in planning and zoning. Yeah, this EDC is a brand new world for me.
Yeah.
Now in graduate school, they touched on it a lot. I took about 4 classes in economic development, and now the two are marrying. Even more because a lot of times those economic developers down there would come to me and they're like, "What rezonings have you got? Like what business is coming in? That sort of thing." So it's a good field to be in. Like I was saying earlier, the economy touches everybody.
Sure.
So, it's fun. It's a people type job. You're, kind of rubbing elbows with everyone. Y'all know Bill Slagle. So I run into him at the state level, and we'll be having a conference in October, and that's where you're meeting with those state folks. Some of the legislators are there. Some of the site consultants, engineers, people like that. They're kind of about 600 of us get together and talk about what's coming next. And North Carolina, it's the electric vehicles. Y'all know aerospace is another big thing. Yeah. Agriculture is still up there. Our state legislators mention that every time we're at the conference. And tourism, that's the other big part of it. There's about 6 big, things of North Carolina's economy that they like to focus on. So that's a few of them.
So North Carolina has a pretty robust, organization for that type of thing where everybody gets together and kind of puts their heads together and all that.
Economic Development Partnership of NC, so EDPNC, even more acronyms.
Wow. So many acronyms.
Yeah, that's all there is acronyms now. Oh, gosh. So yeah, it was interesting. This is a couple of episodes back. We had featured an article that was talking about how North Carolina is literally.
It's rock and rolling.
Yeah, it's rock and rolling in terms of just business development, moving here, and the environment that's been created by the legislature and things is very friendly to business, and that bodes well for all of us.
It's good for all of us. And when I go to Bacom and Henderson, because I'm vice chair over there with Carolina West, and that's a marketing agency. I travel down to Atlanta and we go to Chicago. I haven't gone to Chicago with them. We just pitch that region of Western Carolina, Mitchell down Clute City, Asheville, Transylvania, Haywood, and we just talk about how beautiful our region is. We got good skilled workforce here, and it's a good place to live. like coming in tonight, how cool it is up here, and you'd be dying down in Charlotte right now.
Oh,
Dude,
sure.
It was so hot today, though. When I walked out of work, I was like, "Oh my god!"
It was quite warm late this afternoon too.
But it cools down quick. Feels good.
Sure.
But and so we get a little bit disgruntled up here in the western part because we can't get those mega sites that the legislators need to maybe change some things on to 50 acres plus. It's hard to get 50 acres.
It is
of buildable land here for sure.
So that's why you're seeing Wolf Speed down towards the east. VinFast is the electric car from Vietnam. Honda is doing the thing in Greensboro. So that's why you're seeing those type of things coming in. Those are big factories, and taking up a lot of space.
Gosh, wouldn't it be nice to see something like that right here?
Mitchell's been invited. There is some land on the McDowell, Burke County line that's 1,400 acres.
Oh, wow.
If y'all know Junior Duncan, Caldwell County's county manager, he grew up here. He's a product of Mitchell. And then Chuck Abernathy McDowell, he loves us up here. And they've actually talked to us about it. That's preliminary, but that could be a potential for Mitchell. There'd be no way we would ever have a mega site, but that we could be a player in that someday.
Sure.
So,
and bringing something into these vacant buildings like we've already got.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see. You know?
That would be helpful too.
Somebody had asked me about PRC the other day. We didn't really know what it was or whatever.
I saw that. Was it on Facebook?
But PRC is a remanufacturing, kind of subcontractor for Amazon, in case nobody knows that. And so in other words, when you send your shirt that you say is, or your coffee maker that you say is broken, it goes to them.
Yeah.
And then is examined and then sent out to be resold. Yeah. So that's why you see all the Amazon trucks.
Michael Wilder, who works up there, it could be just cleaning something or reprogramming.
Sure.
And then they send it back out.
Which is that's a great start. I mean, that's awesome for something like that. But I think a lot of people may not know they only occupy a small fraction of that building.
You've got 1.2 million square footage up there. And
$1.2 million? I didn't know that.
It's amazing you mentioned it because I just to the state today sent off more stuff. Wow. The state will feed us projects and they give them secret names. So it was Smarty 1 and Smarty 2 were the two that I applied for today, and they needed 450 to 700,000 square feet. And PRC's got it available, and I hang out with them some. I go talk to them. I was actually in Marion with them Tuesday evening. But they're trying to get housing built on site. So I was introducing them to investor that I was made acquaintance with in Marion who could help them with maybe getting some housing on site up there.
Nice.
Because it's very good because they just got a renewed contract with Amazon and they need the people.
Right.
And their people will leave. They say they get trained and work up here about 6 months and they get tired of that mountain commute and go back.
Right, sure.
So everybody's having the housing problem, so we're having it here in Mitchell too. And they're paying about $16 an hour right now. But they really are, if they're being honest with me, they want for those people to build wealth and to build something here by owning something of their own. So
well, good for them.
Hopefully that will go the right way. We've had about 4 meetings about it, so I think they're pretty serious.
Right. Well, man, I don't know you. We definitely didn't know each other before this, but I'm sitting here and I can already tell one big thing to you is building relationships.
Oh yeah,
and that already makes me really happy.
Okay.
So can you speak to how much of something like EDC do you think is just building those relationships and not only building them but fostering them over long periods of time?
Absolutely, it's huge. Just me getting to know my board. It's 9 members. If everyone doesn't know the EDC makeup, it starts with our county. So Alan Cook is a county ex officio member, then the county commissioner Jeff Harding. Then it falls into our town. So town of Bakersfield will be the mayor, Chuck Vines. Then you got Darlene helping with Spruce Pine, Darlene Butner, and then Richard Knight with Spruce Pine Main Street serving on there. And then it starts filtering in our industries. Malin's a big employer, so Dr. Boyd's on there. Tanya Hell, she's with the hospital, CEO. And then one from the industry. So currently it's the Quartz Corporation, Chris Gentry, and Arts representative. We just got Amanda Hollifield, who was just introduced as the newest member, and she's assistant director of Penland, who's also a local. So that's a big.
Oh, cool.
Wow. So
we've got a good makeup on that board, and that was determined by our county commissioners and EDC at the time. It's written in our bylaws. They can serve 2-3 year terms, and that has to be made up of those people. someone from industry, someone from school or public education.
So the gentleman from Courts Corporation represent the high purity courts industry altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's cool.
You hear that,
That's really
Sabelco? Our competition is representing is representative. Just saying.
Yeah, there you
go. It's got to be. You just recently moved back here. Can you speak to why you've moved back here and what drew you back here and kind of how that can work in your job as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking earlier about the urban planning zoning, I was like, I'll never move back because there's not that particular kind of job here for me. Mm-hmm. Our mom had gotten sick. We knew something was going on. So I started kind of moving about. I'd also applied for some higher up jobs in Charlotte. And I'd applied for this job up here in the winter of 2022. Dad had knee surgery, and one of my uncles dropped in. He's like, I think county manager is going to be retiring, so there's probably a job coming open. Mm-hmm. And I was up here for about 2 weeks helping Dad, and sure enough, it came out in the paper that they were looking. Well, I think they were trying to get the county manager at the time to do both, and then the economic development job came available. So I just went ahead and applied. I was like, let's see, I might move back home. So at the time, we weren't really thinking, I was like, I could probably help, but we weren't thinking like anybody was getting real bad sick or anything.
Right.
So fast forward, when Mom got really sick, we were getting up into July. She was visiting me Mother's Day in Charlotte, and we noticed something was going on. And so, and if everyone doesn't know it, she's got pancreatic cancer, but we're doing pretty good.
So sorry to hear that.
Appreciate that. Lots of prayers and lots of good doctors here in Spruce Pine. Dr. Brian's been taking care of her.
And I love your family too.
Shout
out Cheryl and Steve at Mountaineer Automotive.
They're good boys.
Yeah. Love this.
And Dad's been around a long time, but the tumor shrunk to the size of a nickel, so we're doing a good job with that.
That's great.
Me moving back in, I've been the food police and been the enforcer on things like that. Right. But, it's family at the end of the day. And I was, when it came down to it, Mitchell could not offer benefits at the time. So I backed out and I said, well, I won't do this. And then fast forward 3 months when 2 other jobs in Charlotte were offering me like my dream jobs, it came down to home. And they understood it. They're like, you'll always have a job here. So that's how the world works.
Yeah.
You start looking at it and you're being offered like the world on the platter, but you're like, nope, family comes first. So that's what.
Yeah,
sure, man,
absolutely.
The cancer diagnosis wasn't even confirmed till I'd already accepted the job. But it's been going well. So that's been since last August. They just reinstated me for another year. So thank you, EDC board members.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've enjoyed working with them. And I'm learning. Like I said, this is new to me. I was on that urban planning zoning type thing and making plans and being grandiose and telling the developers or the business guy, hey, if you tell me this, this, and this, and then we go forward to the community and council and if you offer up this, you'll probably get this rezoning approved. Now I'm the complete opposite end. Hey, we live in a beautiful place. We have very little zoning regulations. So I'm doing the opposite of what I used to do.
Well, while you say that, so what? It's interesting that you have Well, let me say this to begin with. In case you haven't noticed, you've stepped back into an environment that it seems like people are vying for position in. It's almost like I always put it to people. It's like everybody senses that it's growing.
Yeah.
Or everybody's sensing that change is coming.
I can feel that
growth
change.
is coming. Mm-hmm. I think we all feel that. And I asked you before this, and you said too. And so, I know one thing that's always bantered about is the zoning and the what do you feel like the proper role of zoning in a community like this is, in a county like this, in a town like Spruce Pine?
You have to let the people decide, because that's, I've watched it when that first job I got in Rowan County. We'd call them the red T-shirts and the gorillas. They would come out into the county commissioner's building and they would be dressed in red T-shirts or a gorilla outfit, and it would be lined up. There'd be standing room only.
Wow.
And they were fighting it hard. They were E911. Remember those days, changing people's addresses?
Yep, I remember that.
Fought that tooth and nail. And I was small, like baby planner. I'd just come. I was brand new.
Right.
I'd been an intern with the city of Greensboro, so that was all new to me. But I would observe and watch it. And sheriff deputies, escorts. We would go to people's properties, and I'd go with some of the higher ups, and we'd have a police escort.
Wow. So you were in the thick of it, huh?
Oh, and Rowan County's a little right. You think it's down there. You're in between Triad and Charlotte, but that's still, it's country and it's farmland. So zoning's an ugly word. So it has to be it has to be the public, your people in your community determine how they want that to go, or how they would want things regulated.
So in a smaller town like Spruce Pine, like our zoning seems to be, I'm on the zoning board of adjustments for the town. What do you think the current state of our zoning? What needs to change, if anything? Or for the county, for that matter, as a whole?
Well, what I've been told by the public is the corridors coming in off the parkway, or when you come under the parkway from McDowell, and then the other part of 226 and 19, the main gateways in their community, you always want those to look good.
Yeah.
So you'd probably start there, and then work your way into the towns. Bakersville doesn't have it either. They don't have zoning. I think Spruce Pine's only one, and then spots along 19E and 226. You'd have to start there. Probably how do we make it to where it's making Spruce Pine look really good? Well, in the county too, because when you first come in. But when you look around, Mitchell, Avery, and Yancey are the three who still do not have zoning. I think out of the 100 counties, 16 are still without zoning. So we're a stronghold, the Mitchell, Avery, Yancey. You got a few more in Western, and there's some in the East. And I think Alamance County randomly doesn't have it.
Really?
Between Chapel Hill and Prince, which there are a lot of farming too.
Right.
There, but yeah, you got to always throw it back to your people. And if it was county commissioners having to deal with this, or the town board having to deal with it, you propose the idea, you let the public kind of figure it out, and you just host and facilitate the meeting, and you kind of go that way.
Well, you said it just a minute ago too. You used the word corridor. I think that's what I hear a lot. I don't know about you, but you hear a lot. Well, how do we attract people off the Blue Ridge Parkway? And so it seems to me you have three main corridors. You have going from that main intersection there, going towards Yancey County. Then you have going towards Avery County, of which there's a Prime restaurant. Just became fast food establishment. Just became available.
Yep.
I'll give Peter Franklin a thing. He told me, well, you can't even get a damn fentanyl biscuit no more.
No, that's what I said at work the other day. I was like, I want my heroin hash browns.
But anyway, let's hope we can attract somebody. The good thing about that, though, the one positive thing I can see there is, unlike that Burger King location, it seems to me like that's a heavily traveled.
It is
14,000 on that one. And 12,000.
You go to Valero at about 7 in the morning. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. So
we need a huddle house there.
And I still saw people. I still saw people this morning driving around that.
I know.
I've seen it every morning since it closed.
Yeah.
So I mean, that tells you something. Breakfast, I think, is really what kept them there for the longest.
It was. That was the only meals I ever ate there was breakfast.
Yeah. And that Hardee's has always had like a breakfast scene.
Yeah.
There's like people that've been going there for like 30 years. Somewhere in this county.
It's a long time. Yeah.
Somewhere in this county, there is an old white that's really, really hurting because he can't get his breakfast in the morning.
It was there before McDonald's.
It was. It really was.
What the longest running restaurant in Spruce Pine?
That's a good question.
Maybe
I wonder if it was Hardee's.
I thought about that. It's very possible that was the longest running food establishment.
That's kind of sad.
In this county.
Yeah, if it is, that is very sad.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Me neither.
If anybody out there knows that, let us know. But but like I said, the three different corridors.
Yeah.
What do you think? In terms of and this is more going into probably tourism and things like this, but still kind of in the same wheelhouse. How do we get people on that thoroughfare, on that corridor, into our town? And somebody said something the other day I thought was very, very pertinent to this conversation. I heard this, is that they figure that a lot of people find Grassy Creek and they see just 2 strip malls and they don't bother to come into downtown.
How many of them think that is the town?
I think that they think is the town. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard those same sentiments from folks. That it's you're going about another 3 miles to get all the way into town.
Right. Yeah,
I think from the Parkway. And I don't know if there's studies. There's walkability studies that say people won't walk more than a quarter of a mile. So it makes you wonder, like, will someone not drive more than 2 miles
Sure.
to get to a place, they want a quick hop off? Because I kind of treat the Blue Ridge Parkway, and they can't put signage on it, as our interstate, because it brings in, there's millions of people on the Blue Ridge Parkway throughout not all the year, but, the busy times of the year. We've tried those signs. I've asked the state about wayfinding signs, but we're too far. I think it's got to be within 2 miles. To get it down to our downtown visitor center, Main Street's visitor center. The blue nice signs, I might keep fighting that battle. Because if you've noticed over in Burnsville, the new 19E, it's got, the Earth to Sky Park, it's got antiques or art gallery or something. There'll be a blue sign that's very visible. But from what I've been told, those wayfinding signs, you got to be within 2 miles.
See, that's interesting. So therein lies the problem. I kind of figured it was something like that. But we need to approach Jan Godwin and see if we can just put a giant, light up billboard. Yeah. Because she's just right outside of it.
Right.
Yeah.
We need
if
to
it could be something local, private.
With like a sign, like a flashing Bucky, like a Bucky's type thing. That's what we need.
We just need a
Bucky's on it. Yeah.
We need our own Bucky's.
Giant LED billboard. We sell sponsorship on it like Jimmy likes.
Yes.
We self-fund it.
Yes.
That's right up Jimmy Henshaw's alley. Self-fund it.
Yep.
And we'll give a kickback to Jan for her land. Yeah. It's a good idea.
I like your thought. Go away from government. Stop working with NCDOT and
just private sector. That's where it's at.
That's probably where we need to go.
Yeah, and speaking of Jimmy, shout out to Jimmy. I know he's hurting. He had a little medical procedure done today. Get better. Get better, pal.
Hope you feel better, dude.
Yep.
Get well better.
Get well better. I've always been a man of words.
He's got Nurse Jackie taking care of him.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he'll be good. He'll be good. Too bad he can't. Jimmy, you need some of these smelling salts is what you need.
Oh my God.
That'd be really good for him about now.
Dude, his nose would bleed profusely.
Can we get No Well Better on a shirt?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a plethora of different slogans we're going to put on shirts.
We do.
I like yours. It's on your Facebook page. I think it is. I own many assorted lengths of wire.
I do.
I know. I also have a lot of wires. I think everybody has a lot of wires now. So yeah, I mean, things like that, I think. So do we have zoning on those corridors now?
No. Man, I was afraid you were going to ask me about zoning, and you did. Just because I was playing there before. No, to my knowledge, I think. Well, no, it's zoned out there. Like Walmart would have it zoned.
Right.
But like
not contiguously though.
Right. Those little, I guess, gaps you'd call it. That it would have to be, I guess, the county and the town of Spruce Pine kind of marrying together, trying to figure out how would you do that.
Right. In your professional opinion. I'm just asking your professional. I'm not saying that this is your opinion that it should happen. Right. I agree with you. I think the community needs to decide.
Absolutely.
It has to come from a grassroots thing.
Yeah.
I think that's always preferable, and I think everybody agrees with that. You don't want to put the heavy hand of government on people that don't want it on them. I am always for that. But in your professional opinion, would that be something that you think would be beneficial?
It's doable and beneficial anytime that you've got some regulation. The subdivision thing that just was kind of heavy for people to realize. The EDC had that in the plan, like we're talking about the state and the High Country Council of Government, our community leaders, community participation during that time. That was 2014 when that steering committee, some of those people have passed and moved on. Some of those people have moved out of the county, but that was a recommendation out of the 48 recommendations in the Mitchell Works plan that we needed to have some sort of land development control because we had zero. So the subdivision ordinance was just fulfilling something that coming up on 10 years, like a decade, that people have been talking about and had wanted, as part of a recommendation.
I think a lot of that, trust me, we did a whole podcast on that.
Yeah. And
if you haven't saw that one, go back and check that one out.
Yeah.
That's our most popular one to date.
Yes, it is.
Shout out Peter Frank.
There you go. But it's protection, and it makes us look more valuable.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about, okay, we don't have zoning. We've never had zoning. Is that helping us or hurting us? I don't know. I'm not the expert on that. I'd love to know if there's articles or research done on, does zoning make your land more valuable or not? I think water, sewer, and roads makes your land more valuable.
Sure.
So would zoning make it more valuable? Because, a lot of people don't want to spend $500,000 on something knowing that the hog farm's going to come be built next door, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
Could be a Burger King come built next door.
Or a sawmill or something.
Or a sawmill,
you just never know.
Well, it's always been my opinion that in a perfect world where zoning is done correctly, I mean, of course, you're always going to have horror stories with things like that.
Yeah.
But where it's done correctly, it can benefit everybody involved.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
It could even make their property value go up to where now they could sell it and make some money.
Sure.
Or something.
But then you always got the, God dang, my property value.
Oh, I got to pay more taxes. Oh, Lord.
Another $14. But yeah, I mean, you don't, again, I'm a small government guy. I'll be the first one to tell you I'm a small government guy. I think if you're not a small government guy and you're from Mitchell County originally, what the hell happened to you?
Nah, man, I'm big government. I want the government.
You grew up at Penland.
In
That's what
every aspect of my life. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not any.
But I think at any point you can, like I say, limit that heavy hand of government in any way you can on people. Nobody wants to be told what they have to do.
No, that's always.
And nobody wants to have to pay higher taxes. So, that's one thing that I think people need to understand is it's become very clear to me. I don't know about you, but through doing this, that Mitchell County has taken a lot of steps to reduce. I mean, we still have one of the lowest property taxes in the state.
We do.
North Carolina in general, I mean, thanks in great part to people like Ralph, have really reduced. I mean, what did he say on that podcast? That they've taken the state income tax down from like 7%, and it's set to go in like 2024 under 4%.
Under 4. Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. While still growing the state. So that just shows you right there that economic development is a huge part of that. And when you see that growth come and you see that development come, it doesn't always have to be because it's higher taxes. No. A lot of times it's because it's lower taxes.
Taxes, yeah. So, and the reason I think zoning kind of comes about when, I hate to say this for any of the newcomers that moved into Mitchell County, because I don't know the take. Some people may have moved here because they realized we had less zoning, less restrictions.
Right.
But what I've learned in my past, I did planning zoning for 20 years. These new regulations or new zoning district or some special use permits, it always comes about because someone complained enough. And they went to the elected official.
And
that's
squeaky wheel.
Then staff had to create a text amendment, or staff had to go create this new zoning district. Staff, do this. And then you present it to the community and elected officials, and then it got enacted as law. But that's where your planning zoning started way back when, New York City, and it was protect our health and safety. Tenement housing, people stacked on top of each other. The builders at the time weren't putting windows and ventilation in it, so it was making people get sick and all this stuff. So that's why planning and zoning came about, was it's the public safety welfare of the people.
Right.
But it's become like this crazy stuff.
This
now.
crazy thing. Yeah.
Is
the government hijacked it and used it in certain instances to abuse their power. Probably.
Yeah.
So,
they would never do that.
Oh, God, they never do nothing. No.
They're always looking out for us.
For our best interest, the greater good.
But yeah, going back to North Carolina growing, I was looking at those numbers. We're up to 9th most populous now, and we're only 200,000 away from being 8th most populous. So Georgia's only got 200,000 more people on us. So it was 213,903. So
really?
As the last census. We're getting a lot of people moving in. So we're getting that net migration.
And I'd asked Harley it was 2 weeks ago. We didn't do one last week, but when we were on there, if she had I don't remember what we were talking about, if she had any idea how many people had moved in here since the census. Because I told you I'm a general contractor. I see it.
Oh,
I work for a lot of these people that are moving in here. You had given me some numbers on that. About how many since the census?
So it was about 435. So you average that out, about 215.
And we were right at like 4? Was it 14,000?
Yeah, 14,903. I think we're about we've hit back over the 15 again to about 1522. I think is what it might be a little bit more than that.
How much? Do you have any idea how much we were at our most populous?
I think we've been as high. We've never been like crazy high, because like I was saying earlier, we're 4th most smallest land area, and because of our national forest and our slopes and all this stuff, it's just hindered from it ever being a high high population density area, Avery and Yancey, McDowell, they've all got more land.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may have been up to 16, 17 at one time.
Right.
But we've never really had, never been into the 20, 30,000 type population. Now, obviously, Avery and Yancey, they're growing. I went to the U-Haul place the other day, and they said 13 vans originated from Florida, and they were all going to Green Mountain or Bakersfield because they couldn't afford Boone or Asheville, and they wanted land. But that's the U-Haul people up in Avery County on the county line, so I don't know if they're telling me the truth or not. But that was pretty good numbers.
Yeah, that's
and we do have 45 new home permits going up. I mean, so there is growth, and you can see it on the roads. And you can only count a person once. So even though those population numbers might not seem like a big number, it's big for us, and it's probably even more than that.
I like the way you think, Matt. Going to the U-Haul place. That's thinking out of the box, dude. I like that.
Appreciate it.
I like that a lot. And speaking of U-Haul place, why don't we take a moment to thank our sponsors?
Let's do that. Noah, roll the tape. Hollercast is proud to partner on our first community fundraising effort, Give Keith a Good Leg to Stand On. Keith Stewart is a member of the community who has had several life-changing medical diagnoses arise this past year. He was diagnosed with stage 3 laryngeal cancer and has had to have his voice box removed as part of the treatment. Also, due to complications with neuropathy, he has wounds that cannot heal and needed a below-the-knee leg amputation. Throughout all this, he stays strong and proud, missing his life of being able to speak and walk. Keith is a kind-hearted soul and has always been a helping hand to others, and now he is in need of a helping hand himself. His savings has been depleted due to the overwhelming cost of the surgeries and medical bills. The funds raised will be used to pay for a prosthetic leg, an electric wheelchair, making his home handicap accessible, as well as a permanent voice box implant. Please visit the link in the description below to donate and help give Keith a good leg to stand on.
This episode of Hollercast is brought to you by Big Al's Pack and Ship. Located off Roan Road in downtown Spruce Pine, right next to Webb Funeral Home, Big Al's is your full-service shipping solution, shipping out UPS, FedEx, as well as DHL. In addition to shipping services, Big Al also offers copy and fax support, notary public services, and is Spruce Pine's go-to source for U-Haul truck and trailer rental. If you're looking to ship out a package, mention promo code HOLLERCAST at checkout to receive 5% off. Again, that's promo code HOLLERCAST to receive 5% off shipping services. Big Al's Pack and Ship. Make ship happen. This episode of Hollercast is sponsored by Moondust Lounge, Spruce Pine's only dedicated bar room and live music venue. Located at 116 Oak Avenue downtown, Moondust Lounge offers a variety of fun activities for all ages, including weekly karaoke, dance parties, and live music of all genres. Find Moondust Lounge on Instagram or Facebook for a full listing of the week's activities, and mention promo code HOLLERCAST at the bar for 50% off your first beverage. Again, that's promo code HOLLERCAST at the bar for 50% off your first beverage. Moondust Lounge. Get dusted. So, yeah, we were talking about having a community calendar, how important that is, and just a couple things to mention on that. I want to make sure everybody's aware that this Friday, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting the Band of Oz at the Three Peaks Enrichment Center, which is the old Pine Bridge Coliseum.
Yep.
If you didn't get a chance to go in there for the Mineral and Gem Festival,
that's cool.
That's going to be a cool opportunity to go in there. So the Band of Oz is like a shag type beach band, which my parents are stoked about this. I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were big into that back in the day. I grew up on that beach music, dude. I'm going to be there for sure.
They'll give shag lessons, I think, starting at 5.
Yes.
The band will start at 7. It's only $15, so
it's a whole thing. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
Anything we can promote going on here in town is always good.
Well, I'm really excited about all that stuff going over there. That's boy, that building sat there, and I grew up there. My mom and dad were the ones that ran the hotel in there.
And I think Dr. Boyd told it's the largest venue. It's going to be the largest venue in our region.
Sure,
like in this area. So that's a good.
And
thing.
I didn't realize.
Awesome.
Did you?
I
didn't ask you. Did you go in there for the Mineral and Gem Festival?
No, I did not.
Dude, I went in there, and I forgot, and I spent my whole life in that building,
Right.
and
It's
forgot
huge.
how huge that building is.
I drove Dad by it. He said the same thing. He forgot how big it was.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
What an incredible opportunity, though.
Yeah, it's great for it. We can start hosting conferences, have concerts like they're doing, and just an extra space to have.
Yes.
It's never a bad thing. And I'm so glad we didn't let it fall in.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where, if you have something like that that can draw, I mean, you got downtown right across the footbridge there.
Perfect location.
Yep. And by the way, we need to start looking at that footbridge because I was down there the other day, and we need to.
It's sketchy.
I may start a GoFundMe or something for that footbridge. That should be a community funded thing. That would
be a good idea.
We could raise enough money to fix what needs to be fixed.
Because there's some funds already, but just to get it over that hump.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that, but people forget that, like community involvement. Talking about how people feel this coming. Put your hand to something. And go.
Difference.
It's Jimmy talks about it all the time. Quit making excuses for why you're not doing something.
Right.
I think that's important.
I learned something, one of these conferences or seminars or classes I've been going to, and it said, change is constant, but growth is a choice. So we're going to change.
Like
Growing is going to be a choice.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that stuck with me. I thought that was pretty.
Yeah.
That was pretty powerful.
And what I want to always say to the people that don't want change, because I do think there's a faction of people out there that they don't want change. They want it
but
to
we
stay.
change every day.
There's more than we want to think.
I think there's a lot more than you want to think. But what I want to say to those people is that it can be your thing too. We can can preserve what makes this community and this county great. And this area great, and Western North Carolina great. We can preserve that, but at the same time, move on to make it, viable to exist in a new economy in a new world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to. The change is coming regardless. There's no way to stop it, whether they want it or not. The question is, do you want growth? Do you want growth, or do you want your town to become Hardee's?
Yeah.
I mean.
Or had they not chose to do Pine Bridge, that would have been fallen into been vacant. You never want vacant buildings. That's never a good image.
No, it's not. It's not.
And maybe we can find some money for that bridge because it's historic. I asked the other day, and the National Preservation Alliance through national level.
Exactly what I was thinking when I was sitting down there the other day. When I was at that park swimming with my little girl, I swam under that bridge. We get in the river and float down, get out, go back, get in the river.
Yeah.
Did it like 10 times.
It's unique.
Yeah,
and I've been saying that ever since I moved back. Both our towns have water running through their city limits.
Yes.
You don't get that. That was blessed. We have that.
We absolutely do. And not only that, but it is a clean. We have a legitimate trout stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that with Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of another community that has a legitimate, even like Gatlinburg and things like that. That's not a real trout stream.
And they bring people in from Nashville and all over to come here and go fishing.
And trout, if the trout population, especially the native trout and stuff, are viable in that, which they are, that's got to be a clean river.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be a clean river, which says something about like the quartz industry and things like that, what we've done to really clean up the river. So like I say, you remember when it ran white?
Oh, yeah.
And, Ralph was like trying to tell it, and I was like, dude, I remember that.
I do too.
I remember it being on like tourism things, and it's a white river.
White river, yeah. Probably not good. It's not ice or snow.
Not necessarily something we wanted to advertise, but it was there.
Yeah.
I think it's just
it's clean on the other side. That was shout out to Loafer's Glory to it in right.
Oh yeah, man.
Since it's clean, there's fish over there on that side.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So absolutely, what an incredible opportunity.
Downstream, it's doing good too.
So we were talking while we were showing the commercials about the about Noah and my son going to the Maryland early college.
Yeah.
Bill Slagle told me a story one time that shout out Bill if you're listening or you hear this, but he had told me a story that this I guess was when he was doing the EDC stuff, that they went into Mitchell High School and sat down with some of the kids that were coming out, in particular out of the vocational side of things. And we said this was when PRC, I think, was first like a brand new thing or whatever, and they were trying to recruit some people to come and go right out of that into,
makes sense.
I mean, yeah, you're paying $16 an hour or whatever it was then. It's pretty good right out of high school. He said that out of like I think he said it was like 15 kids that he talked to, about 10 of them when asked what they were going to do after they got out of college, said that, well, I'll probably just get my disability like mom and dad.
Whoa. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that it's a cycle that we're in here that can't be, that's never been broken.
I think that's bullshit. What do you think?
I've wondered that since I moved back, and thought, there ought to be a way that they could break that. But if your how can that kid help it if grandpa and parent did it?
I know.
I don't know if that's where government has to step in, because social services is handled, I think, on the state and local level, and that would probably be a worse war than the zoning war.
Well, you're right. You're right. But I we've talked to several people, and Josh, I think you were the one that made this comment originally. You asked somebody, how much do you think that's a result of what we went through, like in the 90s and the 2000s?
Yeah.
And people, it's almost like people lost hope.
Yeah.
Or that it's just, become something akin to like a
It worries me because the working age is 18 to 64, and if a company sees they got 5,000 people that's this working age, but why is there so many not working? Why are they on disability or this? And so they won't come here for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that concerns me for our future. And, we got to keep what we got now.
Well, it's like almost like we've adopted that West Virginia coal mine attitude where it's just become completely economically destitute, or at least that's what some people think it is.
Yeah.
And we have to change that.
Yeah, we're not in the ARC does classify distressed. We're transition, but that Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia, it is like the deepest, darkest red, and they are like they are super distressed.
So and that's what classifies that?
Yeah, the Appalachian Regional Commission.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
I think there's 16 million of us that live from that. What is it? Pennsylvania down to Alabama, Mississippi.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you look at that, we're fortunate in that, and we have the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we have really pretty mountains and stuff.
Right.
They didn't get that, and then the government controlled the coal mine and stuff. Talking about government overreach.
Right.
But yeah, that's concerned me about because we do have a strong work ethic here, but this other sector that's for some reason it's not been instilled in them to work.
Well, I think all that
just to get a handout.
I think a lot of that goes back. That's a systemic problem that existed back when President Johnson sent them in here and told actually told everybody that they were poor.
Yeah.
Up until that point, people didn't know
better. Yeah.
I heard an old timer on YouTube. I was listening to I went down a rabbit hole talking about some Appalachian stuff. Actually, no, this was another YouTuber. A guy that came to Avery County. He was talking to an older lady up there in Avery County, just about. They were showing them all around where like you got these multi-million-dollar communities, and then like literally like the next lot over that's not in the gated community is literally like a trailer, with like a camper on it. You know what I mean? Like, so they were kind of he was highlighting kind of that whole dichotomy or whatever. Yeah. And somehow he got into a conversation, and she said that, and I've heard that many times. It's like, we didn't know we were poor until President Johnson told us we were.
Yeah,
and I wonder how much of that has
So then you adopt the mindset that you're poor, and it's almost like it takes away their agency to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's I've had friends in poverty, lived in their car, homeless, and they say it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah,
the government helps you stay in that. So, going back to government again, even though I'm working for them.
And you got to wonder, like, is that a bug or a feature of the system?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a real good question.
Well, it's like, you hear about all these things now, systemic racism, systemic, really, that's a problem. That's a problem that was created by government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they came in here and basically forced everybody onto food stamps as part of like the Great Society and all that.
Right. They did.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and you have a very large population in our area, well, in small town America, period, that still has that mindset.
Right.
It still lives that way.
Yeah.
And that really makes it hard to, well, we've highlighted all the problems that come with that. You've got a population of working age people, and these companies say, well, they're not working, they're on disability. We have no staff. We have no skilled labor.
Yeah.
We can't come there.
Right.
And these are the same people that are being like, where's the jobs? Where's our jobs? We can't find a job. Well,
And there are some truly disabled. Or
Oh,
probably
sure,
can't work,
sure,
but
absolutely.
I think,
Yeah, absolutely there are. But
yeah, I don't know how you would, if it starts at the
It's a
family
vicious
level
cycle,
or at the
though.
cycle. How do you break? Yeah.
I don't know.
well, I think you have to give. I think the only in terms of what government can do for that, or in terms of what economic development, something like your position can do for that, is to show that we do have industry here and to highlight it constantly.
It's all about economic development. Says wealth building. It's about building that generational wealth. So
Yeah.
When it's not just exist, not just getting it to get by, and it's almost like people that are on those government programs. Your wealth is not even an option. It's not even.
Right.
You're literally waiting on the 1st and the 15th to get by.
And I want to be clear here. We're not shitting on poor people.
No.
Like, those programs are there for a reason. And if you need them, you pay into them, use them by all means.
Absolutely.
That's what they're there for. But like any other program, they're abused. And it's a problem. But it's a complicated problem. It's a very complicated problem.
Well, everybody knows it too. I mean, listen to that song.
I know.
Rich men north of Richmond. I mean, that's the most controversial line in that whole song. He's if you're
The
5'3" and you're 300 pounds, then taxes ought not pay for your bags of fudge rounds. That's not hating on poor people. That's a real. I hate to tell you, but if you're from Appalachia,
Yeah, it's reality. Yeah.
that's reality.
I'm telling you, I'll take you tomorrow and go down to the checkout at Walmart, and you can watch somebody that has no business buying that junk, that shit food that they're buying, and they're buying it on food stamps. It's just a reality.
It's not good for them. It's keeping them down.
It is.
Like they
It's
need
not-
options.
Yeah.
They need
But
options.
And that's not a
freedom too,
That's freedom,
though. That's
yeah.
freedom.
That's also, yeah, you're right.
It's freedom, and even though they're given a benefit to buy that food, I still don't think the government should tell them what food they should buy.
Sure. But then you have the same people that in COVID told you that the only option,
That's true. Yeah.
I want to get our shit
I
taken
know.
down. But
I know.
I mean, you have a history of this.
We do.
But, you know,
one of the
like,
first podcasts we ever did, it wasn't even Hollercast. We were just talking, and it got taken down like twice. Yeah, I had to go and edit it, and finally they left it up.
But you have to. I don't think this is even a controversial thing much anymore. But like the same, like you look during COVID, it's like the only option is you get a shot. Well, why don't you encourage people to be healthy? I mean, trust me, I'm not the healthiest guy. I'm not saying I'm preaching to the choir here
Oh,
too.
I'm far
but
from
like,
it.
but you know, like at least encourage healthiness. You know what I mean? But instead, you just throw money at a problem. Well, here you go.
Or like,
just take
Dude,
it.
that's how everything is dealt with in this country.
Yeah.
Everything.
We're reactionary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything is reactionary. Nothing is preventative whatsoever.
No. It's all reaction. And I think a lot of that is because it financially benefits companies and the people that pull the strings to keep people in that way. You know?
Which leads me to believe that it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, there you go. Voila, we came full circle.
Yep.
I like that.
But so in terms of things that are going on in the community right now,
There's a lot of positive things going on.
there's a ton of positive things.
Talking about growth and thinking getting the feel that something's happening. Grassy Creek, I've been saying this forever. That's where you're going to get your growth, and it'll. I don't want to say explode, but you know some things are happening out there. MCHP, if folks don't know, they're going to be going in Grassy Creek beside the Chevrolet dealership, about 20,000 square feet medical facility. They'll house a lot of good jobs there. You know, those are good paying jobs, and they help a lot of people in our community.
So that's the Mitchell County Health Partnership, which is
Mountain Community Health.
Mountain Community Health. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I always want to call it
For the old timers, it's the Bakersville Health
Batesville,
Clinic.
yeah, absolutely. Where I was, like I was born in the hospital. That's where I grew up.
So so do you have any
back in
sense
the
of?
clinic.
Yeah, trust me, I'm a part of one as well. So Do you have any sense? Will all of those offices move into that facility, or will
just
some of
the
those,
Spruce Pine?
Just the Spruce
yeah,
Pine.
I think maybe there'll be some, some more focused out that way. I'm sure that'll be like the mothership, and for lack of a better word. But yeah, everything's moving smoothly with that. And they should be closing next month on that.
When I saw where they just had the ribbon cutting for something at the hospital as well, right?
Yeah, we have. If folks don't know that, in the HCA territory, that's the newest MRI, and it's more advanced than the one in Asheville.
So we finally got an MRI machine.
Yep, we do, and it's much larger. It's 11 inches wider, I think, or is it centimeters? Not.
Oh, I started to say, wow,
I think
that's
centimeters
massive.
or maybe
Right,
inches.
right,
I don't know, but it's much bigger. I got pictures on my phone.
And so did they add on to do that, or just remodel a portion?
They added on a little bit, yeah,
Gotcha,
back in the
gotcha.
back where they had stuff. But and the radiology department, great staff there. They know what they're doing, and now they'll be able to interpret things even better.
Well, and that gave me, when I saw that, I didn't bother to really look at what it is, but just the fact that I saw a ribbon cutting and the hospital is a really good thing, because I think a lot of people got freaked out when the maternity
they did.
ward
This
left.
is bringing fresh breath air
Right.
back in. It was expensive too. It was upwards almost $3 million to put that in.
Wow. Do you get the sense that a maternity ward will ever come back out there? Do you have any?
You know, when you
insight into
talk to other people across the country, and even though North Carolina is becoming this crazy growth state, and we just keep getting more people moving here, even across the world, except if you're not in China and India, they're not dealing with it. But the birth rate is not exceeding the death rate,
Right.
And that's what's happening here. It's happening in Yancey. It's happening in all of them.
I think it's happening pretty much all over the Western world, the developed world.
And what they give us is people are waiting longer to have kids. People aren't having kids at all because of the state of the world. They're just not wanting to bring a kid in. And then they relate it to the expense that we're becoming too highly educated. So that's making people stop and not have kids right away to wait later. But that's all subjective stuff. Is that why the school system is dropping lower every year, or is it because they're going into private school or being home taught? It's hard for.
There's a ton of factors that go in.
I would say it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of all of those.
But
Hear that,
is
people? We got to start having babies. Come on.
Right.
Get viral out there, folks.
Yeah, maybe invite some of those Ukrainians come live over. I don't know, the locals. Right? But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but that's I don't think anybody can pinpoint it, but those are some of the things that have been discussed.
It's not necessarily something that just has to do with local. It's a trend that's happening pretty much.
Oh yeah,
pretty
man.
much
Germany
countrywide.
has a huge problem right now with that. They have a massive aging population and no one to take care of them and no one to replace them. So there's like a huge workforce issue with that now.
I think same with China. I
Yeah.
think too.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of these economists that are kind of the, everybody's China or whatever, and there's a few economists that are kind of the antithesis of that whole thing. Is like, hey, they're getting ready to get killed.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, you crack down on people having babies for how many years did we hear that?
Dude, decades.
Ever since I was born, I know
Yeah,
that. And then now all you got's a bunch of old people and nobody to take care of them, nobody to replace all that.
Yeah.
What happens when all that, this guy's argument that I was listening to is most of that's going to go to Mexico. Mexico is going to become your new manufacturing hub.
I think so too. I agree with that.
And in China, the other thing he says, all of China's products are kind of shit.
They are.
A lot of
they're
things are
cheap.
onshoring back to America too. And if y'all know, the South is the largest region population-wise. So that could be another sign that some of that's filtering over across the border.
Good. There's a lot of factors on the national level that are aligning that are positive for small towns like ours.
Right.
I know one of the things, the semiconductor. That became, when there was that huge shortage during COVID, that might have been the best thing that ever happened to this place in general.
Yeah, that's probably why Court Stabelco are drowning work right now. Right?
Yeah, you know all about that.
I know all about that, and I don't know. We may have contributed to that shortage some when COVID happened.
But I guess what the deal is, it in the Biden administration kind of they made a bunch of new things to try to bring semiconductor manufacturing back into the United States.
Chip Act.
That way, because we don't have that, we don't have anything.
Right? No, we don't.
Which is awesome because all of that raw material comes from this ground right here.
Yeah, it all comes from spruce pine.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
That's where we started this podcast. I don't know. We had Alex. You know Alex Glover?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was our first guest on here. He started us off right on that. So.
Oh, yeah.
You got to start from the ground up, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We literally started from the ground up.
Below the ground.
Exactly.
Hey, it's part of the 5 must of economic development, or minerals and natural resources.
We haven't gotten enough into this.
No, it's fine.
No. I want to get to
about it.
Yeah, I know we've talked about a lot of these type of things, but this what you gave us is kind of your breakdown of whatever. Go over this with us and kind of tell us. This is your general philosophy.
This is general philosophy. So if everyone, when I started this job, everyone's like, "You're crazy. I wouldn't take that job. I wouldn't do that job," and I kind of know what they're meaning. You feel like you're chasing your tail every day, and that you're trying to make magic or something happen. I don't know what you call it, but I came up with this 5 must for economic development. I didn't. I probably stole this off one of those classes or conferences. I've added to it, but the first one, talking about the 5 must of economic development: materials, buildings, infrastructure, the land, minerals, natural resources. What we've got, a heck of a good amount of that. We maybe don't have the buildings and the land that I need to go after to go fit. I call it bait. Like if I've got land and buildings, we do have PRC if they're so willing to lease some of that stuff out to other people, that I could go out and say, hey, even though I put their stuff on the state website all the time, because I know how PRC is. If they get a good deal, they're going to let someone come in and lease. But other than that, we unfortunately do not own any land or buildings. The EDC doesn't. To my knowledge, county doesn't. I don't know about the towns either. But so that way you can go fishing, but you don't have any bait.
Right.
Which
is difficult.
Yeah.
And it's, like you hit on this before, land is a problem in this county in general.
We don't,
because we are one of the smaller counties, and we also buildable land just in the mountains in general. The geography is difficult. Yeah,
makes a big difference. And then going into our human, we talked about our workforce and our education, and as we were discussing before we started the podcast, we have such a great school system. We educate our kids so well. They leave, they can't come back to get a job here because we only got a select few good jobs with the mining and the healthcare, and then BRP and Buck Stove's got some engineers and stuff, but there's limited jobs. In other words,
those high paying jobs that people are going to go after.
Right. And by the way, we do have the largest or the highest private salary for industry out of the 4 counties. It's $43,499. That's the average private industry wage. So that's where we outpace McDowell, Yancey, Avery. Yeah, we're higher.
So
than
that's all private. That's small business.
Yeah,
right?
That's small business here. That's the healthcare. It's probably in reality, it's the hospital and the mining.
Right.
Drawing up the numbers, but the entrepreneur, that wouldn't be far behind with that. The markets, now I've heard shouting out to Bill Slagle when he talked to EDC for us this past year. He said we're not competing. He draw a 50-mile radius around Mitchell, and no one's competing with us, and we're not competing with because we don't have the interstate, we don't have the ability, which that's reality. But I thought that was pretty smart to, like how can we become competitive? And I think it's our natural resources, which is the mining, and then our beauty, and it's a great place to live. You gotta brand yourself in that way.
Do you feel like economic development is almost one of those things where it benefits from competition with other?
Oh yeah.
So when you don't have when you're not necessarily competing, and really none of the counties around you are competing, it's almost like we would be better if we all sort of came together.
Yes,
and that's where it plays. I think things like the High Country Council of Government are really good. Help with that type of stuff.
And like what I mentioned, that 14-acre thing, that'd be maybe McDowell, Caldwell, Burke, and Mitchell. You got to work as a team. We're too small, or just get back to our roots. Mitchell, Avery, Yancey.
Sure.
Like how we were back in the day.
When I hate to see, I saw where where Yancey County earlier, I think it was earlier this year, late last year, had pulled out of the environmental health, coalition. That's not good. No. And I still want to get to the bottom. I've still not been able to figure out what happened with that. I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
do you have a sense?
It feels like that. I don't have a sense. I'd like to know. It does seem like things are getting picked away,
disjointed.
Yeah,
and that's not good.
That's not good because that goes back in the library system, the college system.
project. That's good. That's good stuff.
It's,
Yes.
And it's probably because I've built a good relationship with McDowell and with Junior growing up here. Still got to meet the Burke County guy. Haven't met him yet, but
Cool.
And then it goes in the last two, management and money. So the management is the makeup of the EDC board. So that helps me because that's putting me out there in the entire community without physically having to be there because that'd be hard to do.
Right.
And then the money that's coming from, the EDC does have a fund balance and things that's reserved for industry growth.
Right.
And then funds that we could go after like loans and grants and things like that. But that's some, expert that was probably at School of Government down at Chapel Hill who gave us this.
Hey, it's pretty good.
I resonated with it. Yeah, it is pretty good.
It's pretty good. So let me ask you this. Looking over here talking about capital. Why the hell is somebody not building apartment buildings in Mitchell County?
Oh, yeah,
Do you
I've said
have
the same thing.
any sense of why that is?
I've told that Michael Vance, if he's like, oh, I know. I was like, well, build it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I've reached out to some developers down in Charlotte who I knew, and what they told me was the absorption rate to get someone up here on the hill, get it built, and selling it. Like, I guess you got to do it in phases, like selling them out in 5 years. But I think that's a little bit of the problem is getting the workforce up here to get it built. Like, could we get them up here?
I can get that. I can get that tomorrow.
Yeah, and then the water sewer. Do we have the capacity?
Right,
Would be the
right.
other thing. But yeah, I've wondered that, and I've wondered like blow up little. I mean, not say little sweat. No, don't blow it up. Don't say that.
Right, yeah.
But the views out there are impeccable.
It's great,
insane.
incredible.
And
It's
you
incredible.
could sell $1 million condos out there, like that.
I would
Just
be
for the
interested to know why. This is something I've always wondered as well, and maybe we need to do another podcast and we'll come. You do some research, and
Yeah.
I'll do some research. I'll do some research, and we'll come back and figure out. But like, I don't know the answer to that question. Why somebody nobody has anywhere to live here? There are people.
Well,
I got a few answers to it.
Okay.
So I talked to one of the larger, I'm not going to say his name, but I talked to one of the larger, if not the largest, real estate investor in Spruce Pine. And his answer was, I asked him why he didn't have residential. He only has commercial. And he said, Josh, if I could figure out any way to make money at that here, I would do it. But him and his family see no way that they can make that work financially.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
so the return on investment wouldn't be.
Yeah, the ROI would be, it wouldn't be there. I don't know what our cap rate here is. I know as a real estate investor myself, I probably wouldn't want to put anything here right now.
I just have a hard time believing that. And I don't doubt that.
First-
Look, facts are hard things.
Right. Well,
you know.
for me, it would be like, okay, well, who's going to fill those apartments right out the gate?
I mean, what type of apartments we talking about? I guess
I'm talking like, okay, 2 to 3 bedroom apartments, A-grade buildings, nice things. You know, I don't know, $1,200, $1,500 a month rent.
Okay.
I feel like you could fill that.
So
Think
this.
so?
I absolutely.
So
I
in
do.
this job, we are talking to people.
Yeah.
So a Sabelco person bought in Morganton, and then a hospital person. These are young folks, and they said that we didn't have apartment buildings. They didn't have any. There was no. They knew they could not come here. It had to be Weaverville, Morganton. I don't even know if Marion had anything, but that was their no on
Marion
why.
doesn't have many apartments.
Yeah.
I don't know of any apartments in Marion, really.
I just have a hard time.
It'd
Like-
be interesting to
and
do
I
a
mean,
test
I wouldn't.
run.
You know, I wouldn't do 400 apartments in the first
no.
run.
Maybe do a 10-unit building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10
10
unit,
or
20
12.
unit building. Even I feel like you could fill up tomorrow. You'd have them fill. Oh, absolutely, 100%.
And it'd be a mixture of people. I don't think.
But
it'd
now
have to
you
be
don't need to
young
get it.
folks.
Now, if it starts to get into like $1,700-$1,800 a month, $2,000 a month, you're going to pay. That's pricing everybody out.
It is.
But I mean, anybody that buys a freaking camper is paying $1,200 a month now.
But even at $1,500 a month, it's still going to be hard to make that work for you to get any kind of return on your investment with as much as it would cost.
You
to
think
build
so?
that. Yeah.
Is that? I get that may be a function of just building costs right
I think
now.
so.
You
Yeah,
think so?
yeah. It
And
is.
I'm hearing
It
fourplex,
is.
like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Like that's more, which wouldn't be an apartment. It's more like
Right.
like duplex, fourplex.
I was down at Merle's Inlet for a few days with my girlfriend Laura. Those little units were pretty cool. They were little fourplex units, like right beside each other, but looked like one.
Right.
Cool. I was sitting outside there one morning looking at those, and I was like, you know what? These would probably be, because it's cheaper to build. I can tell you right now, they're cheaper to build.
You just line it all up.
Line it up correctly per unit. Screw a duplex. Do the fourplex. Yes, that's the way to do it. Yep. Back up everything, kitchens back together, bathrooms back together on two common shared walls. That's the way.
And that's going back to, sorry to go back to zoning, folks, but the middle housing gap, that's what the zoning codes in Charlotte and Asheville are starting to do, to where you won't have single family zoning anymore. It's like, let's do this duplex or quadplex to make people be able to afford it. And
is there any reason why anybody here wouldn't be able to do that kind of building?
I don't see. I mean, the land and water sewer, if we got it, I don't see why not. But you probably do well in septic on one of those if it was the right system.
Sure. I mean, that's no bigger than a house.
Yeah, that's a 4 or 5 bedroom house. Yeah.
I do kind of high-end residential stuff. I mean, you could
easily
septic systems I put in for a bigger house like that would easily accommodate.
Yeah, that'd just be 8 bedrooms, 4 baths.
Yeah, so you could do that. You're talking a $20,000 septic system, something like that, $25,000 per unit.
So maybe that would be more like, don't do apartment building, but do just one quadplex unit or fourplex. I keep calling it.
And here's the other question I was going to ask. And I understand Avery County is beautiful and Grandfather Mountain, and you got ski slopes there. I understand those. Why don't we have more of the high-end residential community stuff? Not saying that I necessarily want it. I've always wondered why it's not more prevalent here.
Someone asked me that on the job. They said Yancey and Avery have gate. I was like, we don't have one, but I guess we don't have like official one. But there's still some like Beach Creek up in Beuladine.
Yeah, we don't have like a gated, as in there's a security guard there with a clubhouse and a country club and stuff like that.
See, that's the thing. There's just not that development here.
Yeah. Does Linville Ridge have a golf course? It doesn't have a golf. No, does it?
I think it does. Yeah.
Does it?
And I've been to a wedding up there. They did probably.
I know Grandfather does across the street there, but I don't.
And then
I thought they did. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
I've never seen one in there. I know Elk River does. Elk River has one. I know that.
And but Mountain Air would.
Mountain Air, of course, has got one.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know. Yeah, how'd they get all that stuff? They don't have water sewer.
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine in Avery County, it's probably a lot of it's a function of ski slopes.
That's
a thing for people, and you're like, oh, come here. Well, it's like a winter retreat type.
It's the high country.
Winter retreat type of thing. But
it's like the Aspen of the East Coast. I mean, really, kind of is.
It kind of is.
Without the Gucci and Chanel stores,
but hey,
the highest town east of Mississippi, or town limits, ski beaches.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna kind of chime in here for a little bit. You're talking about having like a gated, really expensive community here, and I was wondering, really, how many people would really be interested in living like that?
Well,
at least here. I don't know.
You'd be surprised. I mean, it wouldn't be people from here, but what you're doing is you're attracting outsiders for stuff like it. Halfbacks, people from New York that went to Florida and were like, it's too hot, we're going to the mountains, or a second home type situation. You're talking mega uber wealthy folks, you know what I mean? But that's not always necessarily something you really do. That comes with its whole other set of issues and problems, But I just often wonder why we don't have more of it.
It is because it gives them a nice tax base. I think Jamie told me over in Yancey one time. I don't know if he said a quarter. It's a big percentage of Yancey County's tax base.
Comes from Mountain Air.
Oh,
and just to think Avery's what theirs is, there's probably more than that. But so it helps them in that aspect. But they might have to provide a lot of services.
Right.
Avery's got a college too.
Leedsman Craig.
So they've got that.
Lead them astray.
You can't tax that, but that brings in people.
It does. It brings in jobs and people. I wonder how much of our challenges we face here are like geographical challenges.
I think a lot of it's geographical challenges. When I did the breakdown, I got into an argument with somebody online. I went fact hunting. I did a breakdown on they were trying to tell me that real estate did better in Yancey County, and when I actually went and did the numbers and then adjusted for, I even adjusted for like unbuildable, property and all that stuff. We actually performed better
We sell more, or
well, just all in every aspect. Really,
wow.
we perform better, or have in the last several years.
That's good.
That's good. It's good news. But there is a huge part of that you have to adjust for population. Number one,
true.
And then geographical area, and then also take into consideration what part of that geographical area is literally unbuildable.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause, I mean, you get out towards the northern part of this county. I mean, it's
150 acres now across from us that used to be family, no longer
right
developable.
Well, and some of that stuff, you know, I know
it's good for us, but
I think it is. I think some of that's good because it literally is. A lot of it's unbuildable stuff, you know. So
he told us to protect the drinking water. So hopefully, it's good.
I like it.
Yeah,
we got good drinking water here too.
We got drinking water.
Yeah, we do.
God, every time I go somewhere, I was down there in Merlestown, I was like, this is trash water.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate it every time you come back here. That's one thing I love about
I just love the crisp air and how cool it is. And
yes, I know.
It's easy living here.
Yes.
You know, and that's another part that makes it nice.
Well, listen, Matt, thank you for coming, and we're glad to have you back here, my friend. Absolutely, it's nice to meet you, get to know you. I hope everybody gets a chance to get around and meet you and all that. Yeah. If somebody was if there's an investor out there, or just somebody that has questions, or somebody that's wondering about how they can get involved or whatever, what's the best way to reach you?
I say through the website, our contact page on there. So it's mitchellcountyedc.org.
Nice.
But yeah, that's I've been doing a lot to that website too. Check it out. We didn't have a tab for Sabelco over there in our courts and hospitals, so now we have a tab now for our
I was looking at it. It does. Yeah, it's
shout out to James Biddick's son down in Chapel Hill. He helped with that as an
nice
past summer. So
very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Well, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming. Let's do it again.
You, boys. We will.
Let's do it again. I want to get. I feel like it'd be really cool to do like a EDC, like tourism.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like a forum almost, you know. You see, we got this couch here that Josh has got to get.
That would be fun.
I know.
Well, I'm just one member on that TDA board, but I'd love for my other TDA
absolutely,
board members
and we'd like to do that. We want to do, and we've been thinking about doing some things in public with with the upcoming election. Maybe doing if we can do like a candidate forum or something like that, and then also get some of these people in here. And let's all talk about it. I think what it does is, when you put it out to public like that, it's a benefit because people get to hear it and they get to see what's actually going on.
Right.
That's a lot of things. People don't realize that people don't realize.
People just don't understand.
People just don't understand.
Well, it's relaxed. They don't want to go to county commissioner building or the city hall.
Sure.
They might want to just watch something like this.
Yes, absolutely. Have you ever considered filming the EDC meetings?
Well, we've got the owl there at the county building, so we can. It's possible to do that.
Yeah. That might not be a bad thing because I think a lot of people just assume there's nothing going on, but there are people working on these problems.
They can. The meeting minutes on there, which I was editing the website the other day and accidentally deleted them off, and I had to figure out how to get them back on there.
Well, good, man. Well, I think it helps anytime you can get out there and let people know that there are. It's not like we're sitting on our hands.
Right.
People like you are working hard at it. Man, I appreciate it.
Everybody, there's so much going on in the county with the mining companies investing and like bringing up the MRI and even our entrepreneurs. People are just, everybody's doing really, from what I can tell, the state of economy in Mitchell County is good. There's a lot going on and a lot of good jobs, and I think it's positive. So I don't know about this negative stuff that people talk about.
Hey,
I guess that's not my nature.
A function of social media, my friend. I think the best thing you ever did was to just shut it down for a while. That's healthy, dude. It's healthy.
Oh, yeah.
It's healthy. I may do that here after this election for sure.
It's not a bad thing.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing.
All right. Josh, take us away.
All righty. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Again, we want to thank Matt for coming and hanging out with us. Like, share, subscribe. That really helps. It doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe to this channel. The more subscribers we get, the more views we get, the more likes we get, the more comments we get, the more it pushes us out into the algorithm, into the world of the internet, and the more eyes that are on it. So even if you hate what we're doing, please leave an angry, ugly comment because any engagement's good. We don't care.
We will pin it.
Yes, we will.
The angriest comment, we'll pin it. Have a feeling I know who that'll be.
We love you all. Thank you so much for watching.